Who knew Palworld was going to be this big and this divisive? I remember the first time it was announced 2.5 years ago. The trailer showed a colorful open-world survival game filled with adorable critters, while the player treated them in wildly differing regards based on the situation. One scene would show you affectionately rubbing your pet wolf's belly, and the next showed you using a lamb as a human shield to absorb bullets before tossing it to the side like discarded trash. One minute you're working on a sunny garden with your pals in relaxing harmony, and the next you're overworking chipmunks in a dark volcanic factory on an assembly line of assault rifles. Palworld gives you the tools to entreat or enslave your pals, and being so blatant about it definitely got people's attention. I, like many people, thought it was a meme. Not that it wasn't real, but just that it was going to be a funny concept that doesn't really turn into anything meaningful. A game to sort of ironically look forward to out of nothing but pure curiosity. Well, it's been out for like 3 days and I have 34 hours in it. That's a hell of a meme. Functionally, the game is like Ark Survival meets Pokemon Legends Arceus. You start with nothing but your fists and a dream. You pick up wood and stone until you can craft a workbench to make tools, and as is standard fare with survival games, build your way up the tech tree into better and better gear. You'll go from poking dudes with spears to blowing their heads off with muskets, and I'm still not far enough in to see where it ends because I'm playing 3 different worlds concurrently, either solo or with different groups of people. This game has beaten the meaningless meme allegations and become something that even in its earliest of early access state is one hell of a worthwhile time sink. It's got base building, it's got raid bosses, it's got real-time pal-on-pal combat. It takes everything good about survival games and adds the creature capturing aspect to tremendous effect. Your pals will help you chop wood, mine ore, heat up your furnace, cool your food freezer, etc., and you can mount some of them to ride, swim, or fly anywhere your heart desires. Find eggs in the wild, breed 2 completely different pals for a chance at creating a new variation of one. There's just so much here already, and with a base $30 price tag, it's a fucking steal. Pokemon Legends Arceus costs twice as much as this game, still, and this game is twice as good. Not to knock Legends Arceus, because I also sunk many hours into that game, but there are just way more systems at play here to make it more engrossing from multiple angles. The success of Palworld is undeniable. It reached the second highest concurrent player count ever recorded on Steam, losing only to PUBG's numbers before it went free-to-play. It's also on Game Pass, which helps it be even more accessible to people, and the fact that it's Pokemon adjacent in concept always gets people talking. But not all the buzz is positive. I feel like we're entering a time period in the gaming industry where developers will just be openly jealous of games that reach a certain level of success and popularity. You saw it with Baldur's Gate 3. And hilariously, you can now see it with Palworld, as Naughty Dog's senior artist took to Twitter to say how he felt like the game was made nefariously and cheated somehow, supposedly in regard to how they were able to animate over 100 pals doing way more actions in-game than Pokemon ever do. It's incredible that Game Freak has set the bar so low that foul play is suspected whenever another studio does even a little more than the bare minimum in creature animation. Some fun context is that we're seeing Naughty Dog devs complaining about Palworld, and it just so happens that it released on the same day as The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, something almost nobody was asking for, to the point that even I, as a frequent Last of Us 2 defender, have zero interest in upgrading my copy. It's been 3.5 years. The game hasn't aged a day as is. It's like washing your car and then driving to the nearest car wash. The idea of Naughty Dog upset that their $100 million budget game isn't getting as much press as the one that cost under $7 million is funny, but also educational. You can't buy the gaming zeitgeist. You can't throw money at pop culture and expect to capture its attention, unless you're Fortnite and you're just buying bastardized versions of iconic characters from other properties who captured it before. Some of the most popular games of all time were cheap as hell to make, at least relative to Naughty Dog's 100 million buckaroos. Five Nights at Freddy's' Kickstarter had a $10,000 goal. Undertale's budget was $50K. You've got low-budget juggernauts like Minecraft, Stardew Valley, Rocket League, Hollow Knight, and more that were successful despite it all. They didn't buy your attention, they earned it. Some of them probably also bought some of it, but all the marketing in the world can't make people buy a game that doesn't grab their interest with its content. And all of those games' success were predicated on giving their audiences the game they didn't know they needed. Nobody gave a fuck about farming before Stardew. Rocket League made soccer watchable by giving people cars to drive. Undertale broke people's brains like they'd never experienced, and Minecraft just introduced Minecraft to the world. You know what game isn't revitalizing a genre or blowing the doors off a new concept? The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. That's such a funny title in this context. It's already shooting itself in the foot twice. You want to be fresh, new, and exciting, and enrapture the public consciousness, but your game has the phrase Part 2 in it, and the word remastered. Good luck in the 100-meter dash with your 2 bloody feet. But that's not to say that all criticism of Palworld is unwarranted. There's been plenty of talk about how they ripped off a bunch of Pokemon designs, And while many of the examples they point to are like, they put purple eyes on a pal when there was already purple eyes on a Pokemon, or Game Freak invented and copyrighted bees, some of them are pretty undeniable. The Verdash pal in Palworld is a carbon copy of Pokemon Cinderace, but grass type instead of fire. There are other kinds of bunnies in Palworld that don't look like Cinderace, but this one is definitely Cinderace. Like, they absolutely looked at Cinderace and said, do that, but grass. The fun part, though, is that Verdash is a much more realized version of Cinderace because it exists in a game that gives it more unique animations. So it's like, yeah, we took this, but we did more with it than you've ever done in a game, so it's kind of a dunk, honestly. There's a grass monkey named Tansy in Palworld that looks mildly similar to Grookey from Pokemon. But, like, there's also a different grass monkey in Pokemon that looks mildly similar to Grookey from Pokemon named Pansage. Pokemon over the generations copies its own homework so frequently that it's hard for me to get behind Palworld plagiarism allegations. In the last 9 generations, Pokemon has made 4 different sets of water turtles. Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise, Turtouga and Caracosta, Choodle and Dreadnought, and Lapras, because I count Lapras. They've also made 2 separate fire turtles, Torkoal and Turtonator, a line of grass turtles, Turtwig, Grotle, and Torterra, and a new legendary turtle called Terrapagos. If any of these turtles had instead been created originally in different creature capture games, they'd have been called knockoffs. They'd say Dreadnought was a knockoff of Blastoise because they're both water turtles, even though they look decently different. Turtles is a kind example because Pokemon has dozens each of monkeys, cats, dogs, etc., and when a new generation comes out and we see the new cat, dog, or monkey Pokemon, we're like, oh, that's so cute or cool, instead of sarcastically saying, hooray, it's the 40th cat Pokemon, meow, because most of the time differences are there, and are often just as different as when another creature capture game makes a cat. It's also important to point out that borrowing elements from established creatures in order to make a different new creature is not plagiarism. Creating a water penguin after Pokemon already made a water penguin is not plagiarism if yours is designed differently, which Palworld's is. Piplup versus Pengullet. They're both short blue and yellow penguins, but they have different accent colors and body patterns. Palworld's penguin is wider, and Pokemon's penguin has a short scarf/cape looking thing around its neck, while Palworld's doesn't. That's just one instance of penguin versus penguin action, because the thread I saw detailing all the comparisons between Pokemon and Pals put another one in there. Penking versus Empoleon. Huh? These two things look nothing alike. Do we think Game Freak owns the copyright to the concept of emperor penguins now? Because if they do, they should probably sue the Discovery Channel and every zoo on the planet. I also didn't realize until I saw it circulating on Twitter how many Generation 1 Pokemon designs were based off monsters from Dragon Quest back in the day. Like, we're talking in the dozens. Iconic staples like Gyarados, Dragonite, Ghastly, Coughing, Shelder, Aerodactyl, Krabby, etc. But Pokemon's designs look different enough that it's fine, which is the same point I'd make in favor of Palworld, except for a couple. Pokemon was inspired by Dragon Quest. Palworld devs say they were also inspired by Dragon Quest, but everyone's quick to call Palworld a Pokemon knockoff as if Pokemon invented creatures altogether. Also, Palworld and Pokemon have no reason to fight each other when both of them are in cahoots ripping off Breath of the Wild's audio and aesthetic. Both Legends Arceus and Palworld have these little jingles and sound effects in-game that are so blatant it's crazy, alongside using the same exact font when new locations are discovered, and yet we're pitting them against each other. They should be blood brothers, spiritually bonded by borrowing other people's shit. Rumors have spread about Palworld using AI in its development, but these are so far unsubstantiated and misinformation is apparently rampant on the topic, so I have nothing definitive to contribute there because I don't know what's true or not. However, me personally, knowing how imperfect AI is, like how every AI-generated image is something that you can tell is AI-generated, if AI was used as a supplementary tool to either come up with design ideas or streamline developmental processes with human supervision and revision, I'm not going to pretend I give a shit. If you still needed humans on the team to fix what the AI messed up on, but it still allowed you to do things faster, then good. More power to you. Maybe Game Freak could use some AI to help give their creatures some real animations, because they clearly don't have the desire or time to do it themselves. People act like AI is some computer boogeyman that automatically creatively bankrupts anything associated with it, but it should be totally fine to use it in tandem with human input, oversight, and direction. Anyway, Palworld is a great game, and I hope its extra massive success gives Pokemon a reason to improve in a way none of the other creature capture games have ever managed to do. But it probably won't. What they really need is a regime change, extended development time, and a better console to dev for. At least the last part is coming soon. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos and ask ChatGPT what it thinks of them, and I'll see you guys next time.